One of the worst things that this generation has ever heard is fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. If you don't know, just show up and fake it till you make it. And they're saying all these things to kids, and these kids are learning how to fake it till they make it. So with our team, from the get-go, from the time we got the job, we told them, hey, that is out the door. There will be no faking it here. What we're going to do is face it till we make it. That means we're going to have some very tough conversations. We're going to get real about where we are. And my job as leaders to define reality, and that might hurt and it might sting.
Welcome to the Jamodi Podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it.
Today we are joined by the director of One Shot Leadership and former boys basketball coach at Lodge Grass High School in Montana, Josh Stewart. Coach Stewart was the head coach at Lodge Grass for 5 years and had an incredible run leading the program. They had a record of 105 wins and 25 losses, winning 4 conference championships, 4 district championships, and 2 state championships in that time. Coach Stewart was named Coach of the Year 2 times. In the fall of 2023, the girls' job opened up late, and Coach Stewart stepped up, coaching both boys and girls programs at Lodge Grass. The mission of One Shot Leadership is to partner with parents and communities to develop the next generation of leaders through sports and leadership training. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at Jamodi Podcast.
Yes, sir. What's up, Coach?
How's it going?
Man, it is good. How about you?
It's going great.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on here. I first want to give a quick shout out to Coach Bruce Brown for connecting us. He's one of the best, and so glad that he made this happen.
Yeah, for sure. Coach Bruce is the best. I love him so much, and I'm so grateful for him and for the team.
How do you know him?
Well, it goes back to a few years ago. I think there was a situation with a kid named Lance Lawrence that I just sent out to people. I didn't even really realize that he would that it would be him. I didn't know, because we followed proactive coaching for years.
Yeah.
And they've influenced my life and me as a coach. And I just sent out, like, just for prayers or if there's anything anyone could do. Then he replied back, and then we got to talking. Then he looked at some of the links, and then he sent me a message that said something like, "This is a friendship that has needed to happen. Here's my number. Call me." So I'm like, he looked at some of our stuff, and it was just amazing. And I just thought, wait, this is really Bruce Brown? Like, I thought I was being hacked or something, honestly, just because of what he's meant to me individually,
This is Bill Brown, actually.
Yeah, no, well, you don't know. There's people, from all over hacking, and so there's all those just goofy spam sites and stuff. So I'm like, I got to make sure this is legit, and then I, of course, had to verify, and then I called, and he answered, and we talked the first time for 2.5 hours and shared stories, and he wanted to know about each player. And I thought, wow, this is next level. So I told him about my players, and then we just went from there. And then he shared some amazing stories, and then it's this amazing friendship that has continued till now, and hopefully until we get to heaven.
Yeah, no, that's great. And he is one of those guys that when you talk to him, you feel like he really cares. And you also feel like you've known him for a long time. I think after however many minutes you have.
Yeah. And I think part of that's because he's already influenced us in such a great way indirectly,
True.
And then it's like, I feel like I've known this guy for years,
Yeah. The materials that proactive coaching puts out. I feel like if I open up Facebook or if I open up Twitter or X, that I see something that day from them that I just really needed to see. Right. Something very timely with what they put out.
Yeah. Yep. It's always like that for us as well. And we've gotten so many people to follow them, and so much of our community follows. And a lot of the coaches we know, we just point them to proactive, tell them to get the books if you can, get the booklets, and just follow, and some great things will happen if you just apply some of their stuff. But if you can apply as much of it as you can, a lot of it, you'll have great impact.
Like anything else, take what you're already doing, and when you find something new, don't just throw everything old out, but figure out how can you kind of mold them together so that it adds to what you're doing. Because I think so. The not problem is, but sometimes I hesitate to bring in new systems or new ways of thinking because I'll want to just go completely to that. I think coaches will throw everything out that they've ever been doing, and I don't know if that's necessarily the what you have to do. You can make both work together.
You can, for sure, absolutely, and I think that's what we've. I went to a coaching clinic and I was presenting there, and one of the guys the day before I got up in one of the sessions just said, "In this business, it's beg, steal, or borrow." He was saying, "Don't be afraid to ask. It's beg, steal, or borrow." And then I was like looking around, like, "Yeah, that's true, but you can also create. Don't forget create." Then he's like, "Oh, you know what? You're right." But afterwards we met. He said, "Honestly, I've never really created my own stuff. What do you do for your stuff?" I'm like, we just think what worked for me as a kid when we didn't have all these trainers and we had to go do it ourselves on, playing in the dirt on a hoop out in the back, all these little things, like how can we create or simulate the game? How can we give a training that, or do a drill that is next level hard and apply some sensory overload, get them to break down a little bit and to think in that speed, to think in that pressure, and then slow it up for them in the game, And so we just created a lot. So we talked about that. And then, so now, after that meeting, I'm like, I hope I think they are. I talk to a lot of coaches who create their own stuff, but I'm big on that, combining old and new, and then just kind of creating your own stuff and what works for you, So I'm like a lot of coaches, I'm big on that too.
Well, I think we're kind of getting into a little individual skill work talk, which I love doing that. When you're talking about, taking maybe some of the actions that you do or the ways that you used to play and integrating old and new, are you opposed to using what people would call accountability tools, like cones, med ball, foam rolls to make things more difficult? Or do you try to train in more of a purer sense of, if it's not in the game, we're not going to do it? Where do you kind of line up there?
Man, we do everything. You think some people think our practices are really crazy because and I think that goes into I think how we build confidence, and that's one of the questions. But it's we try to train them, and one of the things I've learned was competitive excellence from Urban Meyer's program is work hard, fight easy, and it's I want to make sure we are the hardest working team in the state, in the country, and I tell our players, your job between you and God, because only you and God will know, is be the hardest working player on this team. And we will bring a practice plan that shows that will make sure you are the hardest working team. Now, if you and God can get together and partner and talk through every drill and say, am I giving everything I've got? Am I really going 100 right now? Because I'm tired and I want to go 50. Like, can you help me go 100? Because I will. And just keep that between you and God, and be the hardest working player on this team, because we as coaches, we're going to make sure we're the hardest working team. And we bring all these drills in. A lot of it's just the basics: ball handling, right hand, left hand, pound, dribble, cross, through the legs, behind the back, snatch, wrap, all those things. And then obviously triple threat, split foot, your first step, and then pivoting, forward pivot, reverse pivot, footwork, all the basics: bounce pass, chest pass, overhead pass, ball fakes, and then we'll get into the other stuff where we do use cones. We use the dummy defenders, and we'll bring the pads out and say the double comes here, or they're gonna ice here, and we're gonna push you here. And here's what you got to do: is not focus on the pressure, focus on the teammate. And so we try to combine just all of it, and then we'll do it without basketball. We'll do it with just like warriors, and I'll tell them, like, ours is, we dig deep into their identity and talk about where they come from and who they are. Number one, it's God. He created you with a purpose that is greater than this game. So play for something bigger. Don't wrap your identity around this little ball here. Don't in anything external. Dig deeper and find out what God wants you to do, and think about your people who died for you, spilled blood for you on this land, and they're here, and they're in this dirt. And don't settle for less. Be warriors like they were, and run to the battle with confidence. Whether you're playing 2 minutes or 28 minutes, whenever your number is called, run in there like a warrior, and you're going to protect your people. You're going to protect your future. You're going to protect the youth. You're going to help the elders. Use this game for something more. And I think that's where they get excited to get in the game, because like, I'm a warrior. You're talking about me, and so we don't call our lines suicides. We call them warriors. Because of the mindset too. Like, if you're a warrior, I want you to run. When we say warriors, you run to the line instead of like, oh, you gotta run these. It's not punishment. It's positive.
That's right.
So this is development. It's not punishment. It's development. And when we say, all right, guys, warriors, I want to know who's the greatest warrior here. Run there and say, these are mine, because I'm the warrior they're talking about. And that's so we try to build their confidence with that, and using old, new, and then a lot of old warrior mindset training.
I love that. I mean, you really nailed, to me, what would be kind of the complete circle of like training an athlete, all the aspects that you have to hit. I think you really summed them up pretty good right there. One thing I wrote down, and I thought is like, you're right on the money with getting them to think about excellence when they train. If you can have your players training with excellence, and it doesn't really matter the drill. Like you had mentioned at the beginning, some very basic things. Man, if you've ever tried to, in a wide stance, just pound it with your right hand, but with excellence, that is a full body drill that will wear you out in a short amount of time. Why can players do that for a long period of time? Probably because they're going pretty slow. They're not like Chris Paul used to want to put a hole in the floor when he dribbled. They're not pounding with that feeling or that thought in mind. But if, Coach, you nailed it. If you can get to the heart of why they're doing what they're doing, glorify God, make sure that you're representing your community, your school, and all the players that have come before. Man, you get to those levels. I've seen it, and you probably feel the same way. You can. What do we want? We want players to exceed their potential. And I feel like that's a good recipe for that.
Yeah. Yep. We even take it back further. In a lot of our drills, we just name them different things, like slingshots. It's a series of short lines, defensive slides that aren't like, it's just a big step, because in the game, you're going to step into help. You're going to turn your hip. There's a lot of those little things, but it's fast and it's tough. And we do them for like 30 seconds, 10 seconds. And then we'll go back and forth. We call them slingshots. And the teaching on that is just King David, and it's like, his slingshot, he went to the battle with just this little slingshot. And here's this giant that's laughing at him. And it's like, you come to me with a few stones and the little sticks. Who do you think you are? And I always talk to our boys about who was the underdog in that fight. And the whole world for thousands of years, David. I'm like, yeah, that's to the world and that's to the people watching. But to David, who was the underdog? No, David declared, I'm the overwhelming favorite here. I'm going to win this thing because I know God and he's with me in this battle. And that's how I try to train the players, like, no, you're not the underdog in any of these. You're going to respect everyone, fear no one, never overlook a struggling team and never back down to a powerhouse, and run with that same fight, that vigor and that spirit that says, I'm not the underdog. I don't care that you have six players and 6'9", which we've had those in some years. But these last several years, we've had 6-footers and making these amazing runs to state and placing, like even this year, third place at state was amazing because these boys, they bought into that warrior spirit. They live it out at home, in the classroom, in the gym. And it was just evident. I think that was big. I mean, just making sure they wrap their identity around that warrior spirit, which starts with God, the greatest warrior, and then all the examples leading to now. And that's not just as Native Americans, the warriors we've had, but God's warriors, and then players and coaches that we've known that have been through some things, not just on the court, but in life, that have come home and said, hey, you can make it. Life gets hard. It'll smack you in the face, but that's going to show what you're made of, and they take that into the game. And we try to stay calm in the storms of the game, 12-0 runs and 16-0 runs and coming back and winning by 14 and stuff like that. It just shows their spirit. It's been amazing.
Well, first, Coach, I just want to celebrate you just on the attitude and approach you take to your training. And I would imagine if I walked into your gym on the first day of school, the energy, the enthusiasm, the passion that you just showed about your program, you probably have that day one. And you're talking about that warrior mindset from day one. I think some people think that they almost compartmentalize themselves or their culture within their seasons and think, well, in the fall, we'll just kind of get them into it, take it easy, maybe just go set some foundational piece, which is fine. But then when the season comes, then I'll bring the energy, then I'll bring the passion. Now we're in season. Like you, I think you start from day one, setting that foundation, but it also starts with you as a person. So what are those daily habits that set you up for success?
Daily habits, I would say, is prayer. Making sure I'm praying and then I'm reading my 20 pages. That's one thing I try to do is just make sure I pray, dig into God's word. And when we were growing up, my granddad used to always say, go out there, get outside and get uncomfortable, basically, and beat the sun, greet the sun, and thank God for a brand new day, and that's just their old warrior training, and he spoke in our Crow language, so it's even more powerful. For me, I grew up in the Crow speaking home, and English was our second language. And hearing those things in our language it meant so much. And so, from about fifth grade, I started running on my own in the morning, and that was just like, the warrior training as a kid, and it was like, I'm going to go beat the sun. I'm going to greet the sun, and I'm going to thank God for a brand new day. And that was a habit that I started since I was little. And so we do these habit trackers for our players. And it's just like several things. Just drink a lot of water, at least 2 liters. And then talk to every member from the team today. Every member on the team. If it's a high five down the hallway, just hello, how you doing? What's up, bro? How's it going? And eat healthy. Eat healthy. And then just your positive affirmations and speak well of yourself. And then the prayer, get uncomfortable, go outside, even if it's blizzarding, go outside, get uncomfortable, and, that start your day that way. And I think that's kind of how I try to start mine is get uncomfortable, pray, and read the word, and also read my books, whatever it's a classic literature or science fiction or leadership books, John Maxwell stuff, Coach Brown, just read. And I think that's how I try to stay. I always tell my assistant coaches, never show up here on empty. Always have something to give these kids, because they are like reaching for knowledge. They're sponges, and they don't want to, they don't want you on empty. They won't say it, but they'll sense it. So always have something to give them. And that also means make sure you have mentors in your life that are pouring into you, because you're going to empty yourself here. Never hold back, empty yourself, and then go to your mentors and go to prayer and go to God, go to church and go pray, get refilled, but never show up empty, and I think that's one thing we try to make sure. I think we know it's more than coaching players. It's when you systematize your coaching coaches and your coaching community, coaching parents, and how are we talking to officials? Are we tipping when we're on the road? Make sure you tip. I don't care what kind of service you got, represent well, especially if you have a Lodge Grass logo on, give more than 20%. And, we try to just coach the community and all these things. A lot of them, they already get it, but just make sure we give them reminders. But one thing for me is coaching coaches, and I ask them, do you want to coach varsity? They're like, yeah. Okay. So my job, make sure, is to prepare you for those opportunities. So never show up empty, always read. I'll give you books. I'll give you podcasts. I'll give you, audibles, whatever. Here's some we can all listen to, guys. And I always try to send out in the group coaching link, and making sure we're always filled. And that's one of the main things for me and our coaches in our program.
There's just a lot of gold there. I'm writing down some notes so that I could go back through and remember. And the part of I've been doing this podcast for almost 3 years now, which is nuts to think about. Time has flown by. But selfishly, like I get to have these talks with you, because I want to learn what amazing leaders are doing. So it's not just what you do, but how you do what you do. So I'm going to go through some of those, if you don't mind, and trying to probe a little bit deeper. Sure. Prayer life for me is something that, I've read some books on it. I grew up in a Christian household, and so it's kind of one of those, like, some people have these big conversion moments, and I don't remember a time where the Bible wasn't a part of my life. Now, not to say that I haven't gone through trials, and because, like all of us, I have, but prayer is something that I understand the importance and sometimes struggle with the execution, which then, unfortunately, man, I think you can kind of look and just, like, how serious do you take your faith if you're not in prayer? Like, right. That question is, to me, what's that look like for you? And I'm maybe the specifics here. Like, do you have a pattern? Do you have a prayer list? Do you have a certain amount of time? Or are you just open to whatever, however long that goes?
Yeah, no, I think it's just talking to God, and I think prayer is as simple as saying, God, this is Josh. I need help, and that's what I tell my players. A lot of times you don't know where to start. Some of you may not have a prayer life. Some of you might have grew up in a praying home. Yeah. Some of you guys grew up where you're going to sweat, and that's where you're getting your prayer time with the elders. And some of you guys, you don't even know what that is. And I try to tell them prayer is simply saying, God, this is me. Help me. And then just go daily, every day. Start, let's start at 7 a.m. Just every 7 a.m., set your alarm, wake up, pray. God, this is me. I don't know where to start. I'm here. Help me. And then the next day, do it again. And then add 12 o'clock. After a week, just add 7 o'clock, 12 o'clock. God, you've been helping me. You got me this far. I want to keep growing. I want to keep going. And I think for them, that's like just the foundation, laying a foundation of prayer. And these things start to happen and starts to line up. And for me, it's just talking to God every single day and conversing back and forth and just listening for his voice. Like, God, what would you do in this situation? We're facing these things, or God, this is amazing. Life has been great. Thank you. Do you have anything to say, God? And it's always his word. I think divine revelation, it always just goes back to his word. And I just like to read. God, I know you're speaking to me. You spoke to me here. You spoke to all of us here with this book, but I know that you still speak, and then I just keep that stuff to myself, and I just try to listen for his voice and what is he leading me to do today? And sometimes I'll end up downtown speaking to somebody out of nowhere, and I think, I don't know how, but here I am with this person, and it's an answer to prayer for them because, the situation they're in, and I just happen to run to them like, okay, God, I don't know how, but I heard you and I'm here. So thank you, God. And I just try to keep that going throughout the day, every single day. And it's making sure I read the word and my prayers based there. And just having that, for me, that same, biblical worldview, and loving God, loving people, and giving of myself to them for him.
I love the beat the sun, meet the sun, thank God for a brand new day. I love the mantra, the idea. You mentioned that parents or grandparents that spoke Crow, and that's how you learned it.
The Apsaligan language. Yeah.
How many? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go.
How many of your players know that, or are there still a lot of people in your community that do speak that?
From about our age up, there is. On down there, it's dropping off pretty fast, and it's sad, but there's some revitalization efforts going on, and they're impactful. So it's awesome. The kids here, they understand a lot of what their parents are saying. They understand a lot of what coaches are saying, and they understand a lot of what elders are saying, but they speak mostly in slang, and there's a few that can speak it, but not as much as there used to be. And I'm thankful that through these efforts, it's growing again. And I feel like they're getting more confident speaking. So yeah, it's a powerful thing though, for sure.
What time are you getting up every day?
Every day for me, probably 5:30. 6 at the latest,
Yeah.
and just making sure I pray, and then I do my reading, and I'll try to read the word first, and then I'll get into whatever books I'm on. And I have about 3 or 4 books in my backpack at all times because I always tell our coaches, leaders read, or at least they should, and keep growing, and there's guys like, oh, I don't read, I don't do that. I'm like, you need to, stop. Like, I'm just not one of those guys. That's not how my brain works. I was like, neither does mine, but I trained it.
Become one of those guys.
Yep. Yeah. You train, like you tell your players, you got to train, you got to build that muscle. You're telling your players muscle memory. Well, you need to do that too.
You're right on the money. Mono Watso with PGC said more is caught than taught. And so we can say all the right things, and we can tell them to pursue excellence with how they train and to be 1-0 every day. But if we're not, like, if we're wasting time, if we're not getting better and growing, like if you and I are the same today or in 5 years that we are today, I mean, are we being hypocritical, or are we living out what we're trying to show our players?
Yeah, no, I heard a mentor of mine tell me that just about the gift of impartation. It's like you can speak loud and preach loud and say loud, but you'll always give what you have because of impartation,
Yeah.
So your words might, be bouncing right off, but if you have some bitterness inside, and you have laziness inside, that's what you're going to be giving out, And so I always think of that. And that's why I always tell our coaches, never show up empty, always be filled, locked, loaded, prayed up, ready to go,
But yeah, another point jumped in my head. Gannon Baker, he said, you can't coach what you don't have. Like, you can't coach what you don't possess.
Yeah.
That growth mindset that we want our players to have, to always be pushing, always getting better. How can we really teach that, if we're lacking in it? Because, and I think the answer is maybe you can fake it for a little while, but at some point there's going to be conflict with you and yourself, with your players, and what they really see. We have to possess it. And to your point, start today.
Yep. One of the worst things that this generation has ever heard is fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. If you don't know, just show up and fake it till you make it. And they're saying all these things to kids, and these kids are learning how to fake it till they make it. So with our team, from the get-go, from the time we got the job, we told them, hey, that is out the door. There will be no faking it here. What we're going to do is face it till we make it. That means we're going to have some very tough conversations. We're going to get real about where we are. And my job as leaders to define reality, and that might hurt and it might sting. For me, I'm going to call in coaches who know things I don't know, and they're going to come speak to us, and we're all going to grow together. There's a lot of these things I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to grow for you. And I don't want you to miss the opportunity to grow either. So if you're not good enough, I'm going to tell you. In some areas, if you're lacking skill in some areas, I'm going to tell you. If your shot is terrible, I'm going to tell you. If you're slow on your first step, I'm going to tell you. If you don't have good defense, and if your back is to your man and you're facing the ball, I'm going to tell you that. Little things we're going to work on to make sure that you're smarter, you're stronger, and you're better, but there will be no faking it whatsoever. We're going to face it till we make it every step of the way. Even if you're pissed off about playing time, I don't want you to hide about it. I want you to go posting about it. I want you to come talk to me and say, Coach,
let's face it. Yeah, let's face it.
Coach, I feel like I'm better than this.
Yeah.
Coach, I feel like I earned this. Coach, I feel like I deserve this. Come talk to me. I can handle it. You can bring all your pain and your struggle. Don't worry. I won't blast you. I'm going to absorb all of it the way Jesus did my sin, and I'm going to go nail it to the cross for you. But it can't happen if you don't bring it to me. And let's bring it to the light together, and let's walk through this together. And I think that's that'll help them more than anything, And some of the players that have been pissed off at me through their time after now living life and working these jobs are coming, hey, Coach, it's good to see you. And I apply a lot of the same stuff, the competitive excellence, work hard, fight easy. And I their hardest day, my warm up, when they're struggling, having a tough day, I'm like, I'm just getting started. This is easy stuff. And so hearing that later, it's like, it means everything, and it's like, and you allow them to bring it to the light. And I think that's the best way to do it. And it hurts sometimes. It's like, oh, this conversation, but we got to have it. We cannot sweep it under the rug. We can't throw it in the back burner. We can't fake it. We got to face this thing.
Coach, that conversation hurt me right there, because I can't tell you how many times I've said, I've directed for PGC for 5 years, and there's a whole segment on sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. Like, we've all said that, Coach. From this day, I will take that out, and I will, like, that face it. So I don't believe that culture is just a slogan or just a group of words. I think it's 1,000 little things that you do every day, 1,000 conversations, 1,000 ways that we show up. But face it till we make it is going to become a mantra here, another thing that we say. And so if the rest of this conversation just falls off a cliff, which it won't, that was to me huge right there, because you're right on the money, man. And it bugs me, Coach, that after 16, 17 years of doing this, I'm still realizing how I failed players with just things that I've said or done, maybe because I was told that, I was taught that way, or I think it's just the way that everybody does it. But Coach, you're right on the money. Teaching them to fake it. What a harmful message. Like, social media teaches them to fake it already.
Right.
Their insecurities teaches them to fake it every day when they show up. There has to be somebody in their life or some group where they're allowed to face it. And we talk, I think coaches all understand the value of athletics, but I think that may be a huge part of it. And then as far as transforming our culture, we want to have those honest conversations. And how about creating an environment where, you know what, it is okay for us to have conflict with each other. We're not always going to be on the same page with things, but we face it and we do come together and move on. Coach, that'll help them as husbands one day. That'll help them as employees and fathers. Huge.
Leaders, business owners. Yeah.
The Jamodi podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
The habit tracker, because this is question one, so we're still the habit tracker. Tell me a little bit of how you do that. Is it just pretty informal? Like, hey guys, do your best to knock these things out.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay. And I try not to be on them. I'm like, this is entirely up to you. I'm going to present an opportunity for you to grow, and you might not even use it until you graduate and be like, oh yeah, I got this in my file. Coach gave this to me.
Yeah.
But if you can start today, you'll get a head start, and this is not mandatory, guys. This is just for you and your life. And our girls too. I got to coach our girls varsity this year.
I want to get to that because I did a little bit of research, because before, besides just Bruce Brown connecting us, so that we've never had any interaction before. So I'd like to know a little bit about the coaches that I'm going to have a hoops talk with. Let's just flow right into that if you're okay with it. This last season, I watched the video last night with my wife because I saw a little bit of a headline of Coach takes over girls program, along with boys, something like that. And there's a video where, Coach, it had it had some of your boys players, and it had some of the girls players. And like my heart, like I just felt it for them. Like I don't know what happened with the girls coach, but early on in the year they left, or I don't even know. But you stepped in and took over and filled 2 roles in one season. So one, thank you for doing that. Inspirational from afar to the days where I show up not wanting to be bothered, not wanting to do anything outside of what my role is. Guys like you just smack me right in the face right there. So man, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So they had faced some adversity and turmoil, and the head coach, I don't want to get into her stuff. I don't know her stuff. I just know that there was a situation there where her mother had passed away, and she fell into depression and just didn't make the best choices, but she was hurting. She's broken. And we've been praying for her ever since. And her and her family have been working that out. And we're thankful that they're still a solid family. And taking over, though, they went through a couple of coaches, and there was just there was an agreement there with some parents at some point, and then board members at some point, and there was just a lot of conflict. And I was just kind of thinking, it was tough. And I tried to look at some of the girls. I'm related to some of the young girls on the team, and I'm trying to give them, words of encouragement and still have the character, stand your ground in the situation and love your teammates. There's division right now. Try to be the peacemaker, bring them together. So I was giving advice to different young girls, and some of their parents were saying, "Hey, what would you do, coach?" And I'm like, guys, I can't really say, I just would love these girls to life. I would love them to life. And that's it. And then the athletic director called me and said, "Hey, I spoke with, the superintendent and principal and some of the board members, and we want to ask you if you take over," and I'm like, wow. I said, give me, and in that moment, I'm just thinking, I have a son and a daughter. My daughter is a junior, my son's a sophomore, and I have different approaches to them, same philosophy. And I have different approaches. With my daughter, I probably smile a little bit more, a little more patient, and try to be more open, a better listener. And I mean, I listen to my son too, and we have open door of conversation for all topics. And we have healthy conversations about dating, sex, and what that does to the spirit and the soul. And are they ready to date? And how do you go about doing that? And what are the guidelines? And things like that. And we talk about finances, being better than I was when I was their age. And we talk about academics and all that stuff. So I'm thinking, that is easy to do because I love my kids so much. I'm willing to learn and grow and do all I can to give them both. They're uniquely equal, in their own way. They're not the same equal. I can't give them all the same stuff and speak to them the same way all the time. They're uniquely equal. So I'm going to speak to them, and give them the same opportunities at different levels where they are. So I'm like, I can do that. So I called the AD right back. I'm like, hey, yes, count me in. Don't give me a week. I'll do it. They need a leader today, And so I thought communication, they need leadership. And that's what we're going to do. And so I said, and here's all I ask. Guys, just trust me, stay back and allow us to try to get what we can with, what we've gotten, how much time we have. So I'll have a parent meeting tomorrow, and because this was later in the day. So we called a parent meeting and just said, hey, your ladies, they're amazing. Just for the record, here's what we've been able to do. Here's how we've done it. And here's how we're going to do this. We're not going to tell you to be quiet. You can come bring your frustrations and all that, but just be respectful and set a time with the AD. Don't just come bombard our inboxes, our houses, or us on the street. Come talk to us and just be open. But if you're willing to have a conversation down the road, anywhere, I don't care. It's okay. But you got to step back a little bit and trust us with your girls. We're going to love them. We're going to respect them, and we're going to develop them the best we can. And they all like, okay, yeah, we got it. And, for the most part, they've stayed back, and there were some frustrated moments and stuff, but that's allowed. We talk about empathy. One of the things I always share with the first parent meeting of every year is I was not there in your 20 hours of labor. I was not there when you struggled to get a job to provide for your kids. I was not there when you did all you could to make sure you gave them the best, options and best opportunities. You might even show up to jobs that the boss is terrible, toxic, and not a good leader, but you show up for your kids. I'm not there for that. So I'm going to try to get in your shoes and say, man, this parent is doing the best they can for this kid. Now I want you to get into my shoes now as a parent, into the coach's shoes. We have X amount of days to develop these kids, this many practices before the postseason. And the game allows only 5 players in the court at all times. 32-minute game broken down into 4 quarters, and only 5 players at a time. We have 12 players. And this is the competitive unit, not the development unit. We're still going to develop them, but the development unit time's a little fair on JV until you get to the 4th quarter. C squad, freshman levels, like you could platoon those things and balance out. And but you cannot do that at a competitive level. We're going to work with those who are ready to win some games. We want to win these games, and we're going to fight to win. But wins or losses are not going to define us. They're not going to define us. And so that was the first parent meeting, and they said, "This is how we're going to do it. Get into my shoes." We got every player has about 4 to 10 strong supporters behind them. So imagine 60 to 100 people have that many different versions of what this team should look like. But in the moment, I have to make the best decision for the team, and I'm going to try to execute on what we did in practice. So you're not going to come change the game by yelling at us and saying all these things, because we're going to go execute during the game what we worked on that week in practice. And our practice is going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard, but it's also going to be fun, and so they trusted us, and we made a good run, 8 points away from knocking on that state door, and fell short. But man, seeing them now as sisters and friends, and seeing their appreciation for our short time there and how they embraced us is amazing, and I tell our boys, those are your sisters, those, I want you to respect them, help them, and be there for them, and the way I would say it with my son, you're a protector of your sister. You watch out for her. And the same with my daughter, like, hey, don't, look out for your brother. And so same thing with both teams. I just looked at it as a parent. With my son and daughter, uniquely equal, same philosophy, different approach. And we just kind of ran from there, and it made it easy. The only thing that was difficult was standing up so long after a long work day, going to do a 2-hour practice, right into the other 2-hour practice. And then, but it was worth it.
Yeah, that lower back starts to ache after a little while, and
it was the heels. I got plantar fasciitis, and I had to go.
What's all that running? That's all that running you do in the morning. That's it.
I had to buy some new shoes, just some support, and I bought several shoes just to kind of it helped actually. And then I bought the school, the AD bought some just those timeout chairs, little stools, and I started sitting on those.
Nice.
So that just helped.
Hey, I want to celebrate you on like just the quick turnaround that you had on that decision. You asked for a week, but you called pretty quick. I've thought in that moment of like, how would I have handled that situation? Would I have been so eager? Would I have immediately just gone to all of the issues or problems that this could cause? Would I be able to give these boys my very, very best and all my attention? And so I want to celebrate you on just your conviction, to take on that team. And then also the parent meeting. There's a couple golden nuggets I feel like you said in there. One is I've as a varsity assistant over the years, and then maybe talking to other coaches, the way that they approach playing time, it's a lot more of like, listen, well, one thing I will not talk to you about is playing time. My door is closed on that. The moment that you do that, it almost seems like you create an us versus them mentality, where we want our parents to be allies, not adversaries. And I think to your point, setting those clear expectations of this is how we will communicate. You nailed it. Like, you got it. The way that we coach our players, we have to coach our parents. The same way that our players will not be perfect, our parents will not be perfect. Throughout the year, they will make mistakes, or us as coaches. And so, but I think the ways that you set up what is healthy communication, what are the boundaries, what are the expectations, and then ultimately, coach, even though you and I, we have a higher purpose with what we're doing, for those 32 minutes, we're going to do our very, very best to win. And we're not going to be ashamed about that. And we're not going to apologize about that. And if anything, too, it's a way that we honor God with everything we do and try to show up with excellence. But man, love the way that you framed that to your parents.
Yeah. I tell them winning teaches more than losing, but we will know how to lose with dignity, because if you want to win, you have to go to bed early. You're going to have to eat right. You're going to have to listen to your parents. You're going to have to do your chores. You're going to have a prayer life. You're going to have to discipline yourself and create good, new, strong, positive habits. And you're going to have to stay away from the negative crowd that don't care about your dreams. They don't care about your goals. They don't care about your prayer life or your spot on the team. They're going to smoke. They're going to drink. They're going to do all these things, and they want you in on it. And you won't win. But if you want to lose, you can do all that stuff and you'll lose every time, So let's set ourselves up to win. Let's work hard. Let's get uncomfortable. Comfort is the friend of mediocrity, the enemy of greatness. Greatness is doing the little things every single day, and you look back in 10 years, all those little things will compile and they'll build and they'll multiply, and that will lead to a great life, and so that's what I tell the parents is, that's what we're going to do is we're going to, work to win these games. We're going to win with character, lose with dignity, know when to bow out and, tip our hats to the winner that night and say, great job. We're going to work and get better,
The standards and pillars of your program. I think I read in one of those articles about 3 C's. And I think you mentioned character being one of the, you've already said it in, but I'd love for you to go through those pillars that and also the question is, did you attack the girls team the same way, like same culture, same pillars?
Same exact. I mean, like I said, like parenting, like it's not like telling my kids, okay, hey, my daughter, we're gonna grab these stones and we're gonna worship them. Son, I'm gonna do something different with you. I'm gonna have you go on a mountain and reach out for the creator. So it's like, no, both the same. We're gonna do everything the same, but the approach is gonna be a little bit different. The times on the drills are gonna be a little bit different. And but I took everything the same way, the same approach. Same philosophy, same teaching, character, competence, and connection. Building building trust through those 3 C's. And I think that's the best way to do it is to character is ethical trust, and it's me living out the standard, walking it out before I demand it of my players. Competence is knowing what I'm teaching. More importantly, though, especially on the reservation here, knowing who I'm teaching it to, being up at the middle upper class, school previously, a lot of how I said things to them, I won't say that to how I would speak to these players here or anywhere else I go after here, should I go anywhere else. And whatever God's will is in that, I just want to know who I'm teaching it to, and that's competence. And then connection. This is where a lot of coaches I've learned refuse to go from good to great because the connection piece, it's inconvenient, it's tough. You can't fake it. You have to face it till you make it. Yeah, and connecting is simply caring for these players. And when they're going through a tough time, I got plans. We're gonna do. You know what? I'll be right there. Hold on. Can you? I'll call your parents. Do they know? Because I'm showing up to your house right now. I'm gonna be there. Don't worry. You got a headache? Let me call mom, dad. Hey, do you give your son ibuprofen to leave? Tylenol? What can I give them? Because they got a headache right now. Have they told you they have a history of this stuff? And it just catching all those things and just showing up and like, man, they show up shoes. I look at shoes. Okay. Those ones, I don't know. They might not work. They look old. Hey, you got other shoes? No, coach, all I got. All right, that's good. And then there's people in our community that are just willing to always give and like, let me know. So like, hey, we got this kid. Okay, cool. Please don't tell him who we are. But yeah, I want to give this to the school. Give it to the school. Like, hey man, there's some kicks over there by your bag. Like, what? And so we just leave it at that. No one has to know. Team doesn't have to know. Yeah. Kid just walks in with new shoes. All his buddy, dang, those are cool shoes. You got, whatever, Kobe's or LeBron's, whatever. And they're just like confident, like, wow, and it's just connecting. And it's not meeting all their needs. It's finding a need and doing your best to meet what you can, and just saying, I care enough to say, and you should have your needs met. Is there anybody in your family? Is there, how are your parents doing? How are you and your dad doing? And that's what the boys, how are you and your dad? Well, I haven't talked to him in years. I haven't talked to him in days. I haven't talked to him in months. Or, or it's like, man, me and my dad are great. We got up this morning. We did our drills. We prayed. And, so I think that's just the connection piece is trying to find where they can be healthy in all areas. And I think that it can be inconvenient. And I'll talk to some coaches and they'll say, oh, no, I don't got time for that. I got my family and I don't say nothing to them. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, totally get it. Totally get it. But I get that.
It's almost like they don't know what they don't know. They don't realize that maybe there is a deeper level that you can get to with your team, with your players. But you're right. It takes work. And you have to be in the moment, be where your feet are to, I think, seize those opportunities when they come up.
Yep. And there's a lot of those coaches out there. So I also want to say that too. they have inspired me, and I get to see them and see them in action and how they care about players. And I've had a coach like that for me, and so just following their lead and saying, wow, I get an opportunity to do what that coach did for me and what that coach did for them, or what Coach Carter did in the movie, or, Remember the Titans and the things they did, those are movies and great stories for a reason, and I think they've inspired so many hundreds of thousands of coaches. And we definitely want to be one of them. We want to go above and beyond the call of duty and do more than just teach the game. We want to impact lives for the greater good. And hopefully some of these kids will get to know God in a stronger way. And then that'll multiply.
We have our snaps celebration. So from PGC, I took snaps home or to our school. And so it's funny how, at PGC we snap to celebrate. You hear something good, like you just start snapping. So we do it in our program. And so like if somebody says something inspirational, we're celebrating something, you'll just hear snaps. And it's become even more like now it's a greeting. So I'll be walking down the hallway and I'll hear behind me, and it's a snap, but we call our banquet snaps because the whole time when we're celebrating, we got but at snaps, the seniors every year, they get to talk for 30 seconds to a minute, whatever they want, thank the people they want to thank, set up the future, the juniors and the sophomores for their role and their success. But I'm always sitting there listening, wondering, like, what are they going to say, about this season? And it's rarely about how great our flow, which is our offense, how great our flow was, the amazing individual skill work that we did, but it's more about the relationships. And my favorite, not that, I'm not grading myself on how much they talk about the level of care they felt, but I love hearing that the most. If it was just about basketball, then man, I feel like we missed out on a lot of opportunities. But to hear them talk about how they felt cared for and listened to. But coach, like, that means you got to have individual meetings. And those individual meetings take time, and you have to have those scheduled out, because the idea that they're just going to happen by accident, I mean, that or by chance, that rarely happens. So how did that connection piece? It's huge. And why do we miss out on it? Because it takes work.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I think any culture that is built by default is a mediocre culture. And any culture is built by design has a chance to be a great culture, because we as leaders, we build and we create culture. And then culture drives behavior. Behavior produces results. I think that might go into one of your questions too. And I feel like that's how much we have to be intentional with connecting with these players. And I guess even that goes into our pillar. One thing for me in my one-shot leadership program, I put a trademark out there, Spirit Soul Basketball. I don't know if it's, I applied for that. I don't know if it's out there already, but I just Spirit Soul Basketball, spirit, your connection to God, you and God, and for me, I'm connected to God through Jesus Christ, and so like, that's how I believe, that's how I live my life. And I use the center circle for that, with the team, just to give them a visual, the jump circle right in the middle of the court. There's your spirit. The outside right after that is your soul. It's your mind, will, and emotions. We want to make sure you're strong there. We want to make sure that there's no suicidal ideation, because that's been a problem in our community in the state of Montana for decades, and I want to make sure that we're talking about that we question you, and that we're going to bring that to the table and say, are you thinking about ending your life? We're not going to hide from it. We're going to face it together. And that's going to be a part of it. And then mind, will, and emotions, home, class, gym, education, teaching. You cannot be a champion in the gym if you're not one in the classroom. You won't be one in the classroom if you're not one at home. How are you at home? How are you with your mom? How are you with your dad? You and your siblings get along? Are you respectful to your aunts and uncles? How are you at home? And let's start there. And then you got to show up to every class, because a missed, unexcused absence counts as a missed practice. 3 missed practices, you're off the team. So you got to show up to your classes. And I'm so proud that our students basically have our student athletes, our basketball players are basically perfect attendance. They have excused absences, they have appointments and whatnot. And then you cannot start on the team if you're under 3.0. You're eligible at 2.0, but if you want to be a starter, you have to have at least a 3.0. And that's given our team a team average of 3.75. And we had 6 kids that have 4.0s, and then we've had the 3 valedictorians, for since we've been here in these 5 years. And so it's just raising the bar a little bit, but that's one of the pillars is home class gym. Champion mindset, I'll say, and they'll say home class gym in the middle of a drill, in the middle of a game, in a huddle, where a seaman down the hall or at the grocery store. Champion mindset, home class gym, and then that just stays with them, and so they live it out now. I mean, it starts at home. It goes to the classroom or the workforce, and then the gym, your mindset, your warrior mindset. How are you as a warrior? And taking all of that and living it out here as a student athlete and then out there in life. And then that I think one of the biggest character campaigns, another big pillar is practice isn't over. And that's one we started that really took off, that Coach Bruce shared, that went to thousands of shares. And we had a very tough practice. Like I said, I can almost guarantee no one in our state is working as hard as we are. It's almost ridiculous. I know there's days where we tell our players, you're not going to like me. You're not going to like us as coaches. It's going to get tough and you're going to question whether you love this thing or not, but it'll break you down a little bit, but we're going to be here to build you up, to love you, and to let you know that you're doing it right, and it's not going to be easy. And so we had one of those days where it was just like, are you serious? Still? And then like, and then we kind of laugh as coaches, like, are we, do we go a little bit further? Like, who feels like they're ready? Like, they're done. And who feels like it's just like, this is everything I've got now, everything I've got. And it's all on the floor. There's no more. And all players raise their hands. Okay, we're just going to give a little bit more now. And they're like, oh my gosh, coach, are you serious? And it's like, yeah, guys, let's go. Let's take it a little bit further. Because right now, the top teams in the state, this is where they're done. Good job, guys. Go home. Do you want to be right there with them, or do you want to be that slight edge? You want to take it a little higher? I said, okay, guys, you're dismissed. We're going to do heart drills for the next 20 minutes. Anyone who wants to do the heart drills, you're welcome. One player shows up, next player. And then they're all lining up and they're all ready to go. Let's go. Let's do it. And then they realize, wow, there's more in this tank than I thought I had, And so I think that's where the pillar of, practice isn't over came in, because we were huddling and, we raised our hands and we were all in, all our hands were up. Hey guys, and I looked down and I saw some shoes. I was like, hey, don't forget to thank your families for the shoes you have, man. And I was like, put your hands down. Guys, you know what? From now on, practice isn't over. It's amazing what these kids and what God has given us, because it didn't come from nowhere else. It was just a thought in the moment. And I know it was God. All right, guys, practice isn't over until you go home and do a chore. Even if you already did one, learn to go the extra mile for the rest of your life. Do another chore. If it's already a family expectation, great. Just go do another one. Go wash the dishes. Go take the garbage out, sweep the floors, clean every room in the house, and do something extra. Feed the dogs, go water the horses, whatever. And then verbally express gratitude to your families. What does that mean? When we're done here, I want you all to get in your phone notes and write out, or get a note in your backpack and just write out, Mom, Dad, come to the living room. I want you to sit right there. Don't just say, thanks, Mom, thanks, Dad. Call them to the living room, make it special, and say, thank you for the shoes. I know it costs a lot. Thank you for the clothes. Thank you for this house, the roof over my head and keeping me warm. Thank you for the vehicle. Thank you for the food and the clothes. And thank you for the time showing up to games. And thank you for pushing me in the summer training. And thank you for getting me out of my comfort zone. Thank you for everything you've done for me. I appreciate you. I love you. And massage your mom's shoulders. Massage your dad's hands. They might not like it. It's uncomfortable. Or do their feet. Massage their feet and just say, thank you. And say, I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. And for some, it's, I love you, Grandma. I love you, Auntie. Thank you for raising me when you shouldn't have to. And that night turned into something amazing. And I said, here's what I want you to do. go do the chore, and then tell your family thank you, express gratitude verbally, make it special, and then report what you did, what chore you did, and what you said to your family to the group chat. All right, let's go. And then we just, Indians on 3, 1, 2, 3, Indians. About 30 minutes later, Coach, I did the dishes. He said, practice is over. I did the dishes. I told my mom and dad I love them. Coach, I watered the horses. And I told my granddad, thank you for raising me. I love you. Practice is over. And then it just kept coming in. And the more I read them, I realized this is it. This is why we're here. And they still do that, and it just, season's over, I'll still get messages, and it's no longer in the group chat. It's just a text, Coach, practice is over. I did this, and I said this. And that means more than any trophy we've gotten. That means more than any accolade. That means more than any article in the paper. It's just those messages. Yeah. They get me because, golly. And then we get calls from all over, coaches and parents messaging. We went to a tournament in Denver this last weekend. A lady from Kansas. Hey, there's this team out there that you're from Montana. I'm like, yeah, my son plays on this team. There's this team out there. We saw an article and we saw the headline a couple of years ago. And they do this chore thing. They say practice isn't over. And when she started saying it, I was like, wow, lady from Kansas, And I said, wow, cool. I said, what was the school? I already knew what it was, but she was like, as it was Lodge Grass. She was like, yes, Lodge Grass. And I'm like, so the guy I'm talking to that actually introduced me to her, because her son, her daughter was playing on one of the girls' teams. And the guy said, he's their coach. And she was like, no way. You're kidding me. He's like, we've been following you guys for the last several years, and we make sure our kids do their chores. Remember that Lodge Grass team? Remember that coach? He makes sure they do their chores. You're going to do your chores. Even if your team does it, you're going to. Coach, we do the practice isn't over at our house. Golly, that right there is one of the banners for us, Yeah. So I think that's like, when it comes to pillars, it's, spirit, soul, basketball, and it's character, competence, connection. It's practice isn't over. It's just face it till you make it. And it's tears. It's, it's hugs. It's human contact. It's ears to listen, and it's just hearing them out and being a healthy vent, and so I think those are the pillars.
What's up, Coach? Are you looking for a way to elevate your off-season skill development? Well, look no further. With the Ballogy app, you can build a workout with our library or create your own content. Send that workout to your players, and then your players complete the workout by recording their session on their phones. You can monitor and encourage competition with our leaderboards for every workout. Ballogy offers player development solutions in the palm of your hands. Get your team started today by going to ballogy.com for more info.
And thank you for being so authentic with sharing and also showing your emotion too. I think as a younger coach early on, I felt like I could never be that vulnerable with my players. As I get older, as I get more in the word, it's funny how that really, not the older piece, but having that connection in the word just opens up that side of you that, maybe when I was living differently, I just kind of held shut. And so not being afraid to get teary with your players and showing that emotion. And so that's a sign of a healthy culture when players and yourself, when you feel open to do that. My question was going to be, how do you, so all of these sorry, go ahead.
Jesus wept.
Oh,
that's a big connection.
There it is.
Connection. He understands and he connects. Yeah.
My question was going to be, talking about culture, systems, schemes. It does all revolve around basketball. And I know in my own life, basketball took the place of Christ for a long time. success, wins, status. And if we're not careful within our own programs in the attempt to be competitive, to put the best team out there, to help them become the best players possible, it can be all about basketball, which what we don't want our players to do. And I've heard this over the years, and a senior may, after the last game, make a comment like, is that it? Is that it? Is that all? Because there will become a time where they're done playing it for your program in your high school, and even if they play in college, there will come a time where the game is over, and we don't want them to feel like, is that it? Right. Is that all? I was going to ask you how you keep that from happening, but then the more you kept going, Spirit, Soul, and then the home class gym, the activity or the mindset, it's not just an activity, but the mindset of practice isn't over until you answered it.
Yeah. No, basketball for me, whereas some it replaced Christ and it replaced greater. Their identity was wrapped in the game. Yeah. Mine replaced an absent father, and where I was struggling there, just having a single parent home, a mom that loved me. And there is grace and forgiveness with my biological father. I mean, good guy, no relationship really. But it's just like, man, I forgive you. You're awesome. You're a great person,
How long did it take you to get there, if you don't mind me asking?
As a kid, I already was just craving that. And I had a stepfather that loved me, and he gave me so much, but he was battling alcoholism, but he was kind. He was healthy when it came to his sobriety. When he fell off, because he had a rough life, and the time he got married to my mom till he fell off was like a 7-year period. And I was just little until junior high. He fell off. And that's when he became a different person, not angry, mean, abusive in any way. He's just absent. Mm-hmm. So it was just the same as, so I was confused as a kid. Like, my biological father's over there, and had some experiences there that were heart shattering for me as a kid. And I would be angry when I got to junior high, and my father, who stepped in, lost his way, and it was just mom at home. I just turned to basketball. I was angry. I was upset. I didn't play the game wrong. I just put all my energy, negative and positive, into the game. And it basically helped save my life, And then Jesus came into my life when I was 16. And that's where I learned that basketball is a tool. And so that's how I teach it. And that's how I try to bring it to the game. We won, 2 state championships right out the gate, first 2 years. And every time, and any trophy we win, even that second trophy, we sat there and the game was over. The buzzer sounded, and like, man, back to back, Lodge Grass. I sat there and it was like nothing. I was like, the game's over. That's it. Go shake the coach's hands. Good job, guys. Proud of you guys. It was a great battle. And then it didn't hit me until we're walking off, and one of the players reminded me, hey, coach, we forgot to do our last prayer at center court. Oh, yeah. Hurry up, guys, because there's a game after us. They're kicking us out. We get to center court and we pray. And then one of the seniors, he got cut, and he has a long story himself. He got cut, and he went the long way around, and he's asked to be a practice player. I don't have to play. I don't have to travel, nothing. Can I just practice with you guys and stay in shape? Sure. Don't expect to play. Don't expect to get a jersey, nothing. And he's like, yeah. Okay, so he did that. 2 players missed their 4th practice, and they know that, you get 3. They missed their 4th, both players, same time, different excuses. One lied, and the other one couldn't make it work. And I said, we got to keep the standard. If we ever drop it, I'm going to resign. So I'm so sorry, guys. Thank you for coming out, but we can't let you in the gym. Close the door. That hurt. And there's Blue over there. I already looked at him like, there's this kid working his tail off. He got cut. And so we waited, though. This coach that's been investing in his life, one of our assistants, I said, I want you to present the jersey with him, and so he was like, wow, he's going to love it. Oh my gosh. And so, postseason came along, presented him the jersey to him, and he was so excited. So he held that state championship trophy back to back. And he's just like, we were in our prayer. I'm like, Blue, put the trophy down. And he's like, no, coach, I'm going to hold it, man. We worked too hard. I'm like, no, listen, that trophy someday is going to turn to dust. But the work God is doing in your heart, all of you. And the work he's doing in the hearts of the community is what's going to last forever. Put the trophy out. Oh, yeah, you're right, coach. Turns around, sets it out of the prayer circle and joins hands with everybody. And that's when I felt the victory. I was like, wow, Jesus, this is all for you. All of this is to give you glory. Because the initial prayer when I got the job in 2019. All right, God, I refuse to be a mediocre coach. Help me be a great coach. Help me do something so great that people will have to look beyond me and say, only God could have done that. Because Lodge Grass has had a 30-year drought. And they've had great players, but they've never had system. They've never had culture. It was always mediocre. And the 2 times they did, they made great runs with some good coaches, but they let them go. And in 30 years of a drought when it comes to titles, God, do something so great that people have to look beyond me and say, only God could have done that. And then it became a prayer. God, do something so great through us that people have to look beyond us and say, only God could have done that. And we will always give you glory. So for us, it's to God be the glory, to the boys be the credit. When we've said it from the get-go. And then it's so funny. You'll hear coaches, or I'll see posts, coach, did you see this? And it'll be a coach on different levels, whether it's 2A or down B, C, whatever, and the big schools of 2,000 plus, or the small, less than 100 schools. These coaches are doing, and they have a great moment in their program, and they say, I have to quote Coach Josh Stewart and say, to God be the glory. And I'm like, that's been around for thousands of years, but they're attaching it to us, because we just say it with everything. We say it, and I'm so thankful that our friends in the media have posted it in the headlines, in the papers, and it's just been everywhere. So it's been attached. And we had this little kid show up to the state tournament that had a big sign that said, to God be the glory, coach, And so I'm like, that would hit my heart more than anything. But when he put the trophy out, that's when I felt that real victory, So afterwards, I told the boys and reminded them, guys, remember, these trophies, they mean nothing. It's awesome. They're a testament to your hard work, your buy-in, your coachability, and your warrior spirit. But they themselves are nothing. The banner, I said, look up, guys. And we had all stood up. We had plain clothes on. We were at school. I said, look at those. We had a little ceremony. The banners were down. There's 2 banners up with that group. And I said, look at those banners, guys. You put those up. Amazing. Now our school has 7, whereas before we had 5. Look at those banners. Now, when you walk out of here, I want you to forget those were ever there and go live the life of a champion. And if anyone ever talks about it, let it be them. Let them bring it up. Don't ever talk about them. Don't ever hold it against anybody. Don't ever brag about it. Forget they're there. Let others remind you that they're there. And then that's what I do every year. And even this year, guys, this game it's going to end. It's going to stop. But you can use it as a tool, and you can build life skill here. You can build leadership skill. You can build hard work ethic, that will carry you for the rest of your life. And when the game stops, you'll keep going. And then you'll learn how to use the game for others. You'll see a kid in the park, or you see your kids. Hey, you want to do it? Let's do it right. And here's how we're going to do it. And then you'll teach them how to, wrap their identity in something bigger, and then use the game as a tool, not as the end goal.
At Grapevine Faith Christian School, we have the ability to talk openly about our faith. In fact, we're mandated, to do that. Biblical infusion in everything that we do, from what they do in class, from what they do, what we do in athletics. It seems like, or sounds like, you're pretty open with your team, in your school, in your community. Is that something that I ask because I'm sure there are a lot of believers that are in public schools that feel pressure? I mean, there's some schools right around our area in Dallas-Fort Worth where we hear about the things that are being taught and the direction schools are going with their messaging. Yeah. Have you felt, or is your community one where, like, almost like a Grapevine Faith, where you're mandated to, or have you ever felt friction with your messaging, your calling, your biblical infusion with what you do?
Yeah, no, it's going to be in everything we do and say, as long as I'm the coach, and I want to make sure that we base everything on the chief cornerstone, Jesus Christ. And that's what our team's going to be built on, and that's how we're going to do it. But we're not going to exclude you. We're going to love you. And we tell some parents that don't agree with me, like, hey, we're going to love your kid. And they don't have to do everything we're doing. but here's how my story goes, and here's how I'm going to share my story, and I'm going to try to apply what I can, and they can take what they can. A lot of our training comes from Navy SEAL stuff. They could take that and run with it. A lot of our stuff, it comes from all over. It comes from the old warriors, and it comes from our people. It comes from this earth, the ground, the blood, and the sweat and the tears, and that's spilled here. And we're going to use a lot of that. But for me, my story is Jesus. He saved me. He set me free. He helps me every single day. And where it won't work is if I go political, if I go telling people they need to vote a certain way and get goofy, and I think that's where it doesn't work. But if I love them and I respect them and I honor them and I give myself for them, even if they don't look like me, sound like me, believe like me, it can work, but that love has got to be there. That grace has got to be there. And there's been challenges. There have been people like, well, don't you think this? And one guy, he said, I don't agree with all that. I don't agree with you saying there's only one way to heaven. I was like, okay, can you quote me on that? Can you find where I said that? He said, well, you posted it. I said, no, I quoted Jesus. And as I quoted Jesus, and so that's tough. I said, I didn't say it. And you're mad at me for believing it. I believe it with all my heart. But I love you, bro. And he's older than me a little bit, 10 years. I love you, bro. And I'm here if you ever need me. What you're mad about is something Jesus said. And I would encourage you to say, you don't have to say Jesus, but Akbaratia, creator, the one who made all things. What is this that if that's you, he says you're creator. He calls you by Jesus. I'm going to call you creator. Why did you say that? Because I'm struggling with it. Go talk to the author of that quote. That's where you go with that. And that's what I talked with him about. And then we've had good respect from that point. I don't know what he did with that. And I don't know if he went and prayed that prayer, but I said, you're mad at me. I quoted Jesus, but I stand by that. I'm ashamed of myself, bro. Like I can't quote me on my dirt and all the things I did. I was like, I'm worse than everybody in this gymnasium. I am the worst one here. That's why I cling to Jesus, because he saved me. He helps me, and I got to run to him because I need him. I'm a failure. I messed up so bad. I'm the worst one here. And that's why I go to him. I'm not here to try to tell you how to live your life, but I want to be an example of what Jesus' love looks like to the world. And that's how I approach it with our program, with our parents, with our community. And I just try to make sure that we love people where they are, and it's love God, love people, and love the game and respect it.
Confidence is something that, you see in March Madness. Momentum, confidence sometimes kind of go hand in hand a little bit, but even with college players, you can see confidence dip at times or rise. And I've heard some coaches say, like, it's not our job to build confidence. Confidence comes from preparation, what players think about all day, but we can definitely say and show or do things that will ignite, maybe help their confidence grow. And I know for sure we can say things that can shrink it back, but how do you build confidence with your players?
Identity. And I just talk about the warrior spirit and just tell them, like, man, especially from here at Lodge Grass, when we go against teams or when we start a season, like, I want you to find out what your name is, find out who you are, and what did your family name you? What did your grandfather name you? Your clan uncle name you? The name I was given is Dukbao Jchesh, and I guess I didn't put that in with the girls and boys, but my name sure helped me solidify that and make that call to the AD right back, because I'm like, Balaja Dukbao Jchesh Hook. My name is twice the leader. When I was given that name as a kid and I was getting older, they told me, here's why you're given that name. My grandfather, who is a Vietnam War vet, he gave me that name, and he said, you're going to lead in two worlds. You're going to have a heart to lead, study leadership. And here's how you lead. He said, you lead by serving your people. You don't think you're better than them. You don't act tougher. You don't act smarter. You just serve. And that's how you lead your people. And I'm a kid. I'm thinking that just this sounds goofy to me, So lead in two worlds, and it's twice the impact too. He said, you'll have twice the impact of anything I've ever done. That's why I'm wishing for you. My wish for you is to have twice the impact. But also, I want you to not only lead at home, but beyond here, I want you to lead in the white man's world, that's how they say it. You have your crow world and your white man's world out there, and that you're going to be a leader in those areas. And then the other is you're going to have twice the impact. And so when it came to the boys and girls, I thought, I'm twice the leader. I'm going to lead both these groups. I'm going to apply my name there. And that's when I called them. So yeah, that kind of goes into that. But identity, go home and find out what your name is. Let's try to live it out. Let's chase that. And that's who you are. And then when we train, we're going to make sure that you go hard. I mean, I'll blow the whistle if it's soft, if it's slow. Hey, that was okay for C squad. That was okay for the freshman team, and then they go again and like blow the whistle. No, I mean, you're still at JV level. Guys, if you want to go at this speed and you want to play like this, just turn your jersey over and go see the JV coach and see freshmen, see if they'll use you. Because here we need to go harder. We need to go faster. We need to be more aggressive. We need to be smarter. We got to know the timing, the angles. We got to make sure that we're smart. We got to make sure that we're sound. And I don't want no slow stuff. I don't want no mediocre. I want everything full, fast, high level, full speed. And, every drill, I make sure every player, I'll blow the whistle, everyone start again, because so-and-so is going at, 20% speed, and then we make them battle each other. We do war drills, when we do all the stuff that a lot of other coaches do, just no boundaries, no jump balls, fight top possession, and don't back up. Take it personal if your teammate's going soft, but don't take it personal if you're getting pushed and you're feeling some major resistance and you're feeling their strength on you. Thank them for that. Don't go swinging on nobody. That shows the weakest person in the room is going to swing, but the strongest is going to level up and take it higher. Pat him on the butt. Way to go, buddy. Way to go, bro. Way to go, brother. And so we do that, and then we just fight and fight and fight, and then they just hug it. They're just like, thank you, bro. Appreciate it, man. Way to push like this, guys. Hey, like him. Come on, man. Don't take it personally. You can hear them, all the leaders just saying, kids are about to crack mentally, and they're starting to shove and doing that. It's like, don't take it personal. Don't be weak-minded. Let's go. And they're in the drill, and then we give them the moment to use that in the game, and it's just teach, train, execute, and so we talk about identity, and we go to the warrior spirit, and that starts with God, and then that goes to your families, your community, and your people, your clan, and your language. And then you have what a lot of the world doesn't have. You can go and live in that kid's community and thrive. You can go to Africa and thrive. You can go to New York City and thrive. You go to Columbus, Ohio, where I lived for 6 years, and thrive and love it. A lot of those people can never come back here to Lodge Grass and live and thrive. They'll struggle. You can do that. You are stronger. You have more than what they think they have. You don't know what a silver spoon is. What is a silver spoon? They're like, no, struggle. You have to struggle, but that makes you better, and then like in some of these games, it's like, hey, we're going to go harder. We're going to go faster. We're going to jump higher. We're going to do all that because they don't know what cold water's like. They don't know what sleepless nights and no food's like. They don't know what's like using the same clothes to school all week. They don't know what it's like. They have had everything. And I don't know if it's always the case, but I know it's a big percentage. So
sure,
you have something bigger deep down in there and fight with that, and so we go to that, and then we train them at a higher level, and then that we feel is the highest level. And then we go in the game, I look them down the line, and I'm thinking, I know a lot of teams have their regular rotations, they're 7, they're 8, whatever. We just try to go like, there's my freshman. Let's see if he's ready. Game 1, we're down 8 points. Get in there. He's like, whoa. He just goes in, ready to execute, hits 5 threes. We take off. We win the game. That's his first game as a freshman on a varsity level. And he just like ready to rock and roll, Yeah. And then from there, it's like, be ready, guys. And there's going to be days where you got to be mentally tough because you won't get in the game. Let the bench teach you. What did I do wrong? Where am I slipping? And then come talk to coach. Coach, the bench is my teacher. I want to know what I did wrong. I want to know, was it these turnovers? Was it when I slipped on the defense, when I wasn't in help? Was it? Yes, it was those things. Let's work on it. And then, but you're not doing bad. I love what you're doing. Let's just take it a little bit higher. Let's just fix this area. And I think their confidence grows in that area, but it's giving them the opportunity too. It's not just working. And then maybe 2 minutes, like people get mad at us. Like, you guys should have beat them by 80. Why'd you only win by 20? Or you guys won by 12? Because our bench, we got to develop them, be ready for the postseason, and then this year, state tournament, going the final game into the third place. We played a very tough team, top 10 all year. We went down 12, threw the bench in, just the whole 5, and they took a 12-point lead. And they were ready. They were battle tested and they were confident. So that 3 freshmen in there, and then a sophomore and a junior, and they brought us back, and it was pretty amazing to see. And so afterwards, there was some family that were like, "Okay, coach, I get it. I see what you mean. Playing them a lot in the regular season gets them ready for." Because I say if it's 8 to 15 points, we're going to play our deep bench. A lot of times it's 20, and we have our 20-point player. I think every team has their 20-point player. If we're down 20, they might play.
Sure.
If we're up 20, they might play.
Yeah.
We just try to make sure all of our players, get in with anywhere from 8 to 15, feel the pressure of the game, and they know that coach trusts me with this 10-point lead right now. Don't drop the ball. And if it goes down to 6 or 4, then we'll see how they are. We might make other subs and keep them in. Or if they create a turnover, hey, it's okay. Get it right back. Give him the ball. Run that set again. I don't care that you missed. I don't care if you bounced off your leg. Run it again, and we'll go 3 times. And then they're like, coach believes in me, so those are some of the ways, I guess.
No, it's really good. I think what I heard was you create confidence in your players by setting high standards for them. How often do we set mediocre standards? And not always intentionally, but what happens if we set high standards for our players? Man, I think more often than not, they tend to meet those. They meet those standards. And because we set high standards for them through our culture, our standards and pillars, because we set that high bar, man, there's confidence from that. Our players knowing that we expect them to do amazing things, that we know that they can do amazing things. Confidence comes from that. Or like you hear especially when maybe you talk with players that aren't in your program, or just if you're working at camp and you get to know a player that from another city, another town, and and they say, a lot of times you'll hear them say, "I don't think my coach believes in me." Mm-hmm. Well, probably their coach is doing some things that is right, and they're saying some good things, but ultimately, are we setting a bar high enough, standards set high enough to where our players can achieve and work to do that? And confidence comes from that. And I think you do a great job, it sounds like, of setting those high standards.
Yeah, we got to. And I think that's one of the first things I did as a coach is I went up and did that prayer up on that. I was in Bozeman when I got the call, and I took off because Crows, Upsala people share that ancient Near East belief that the higher you are in elevation, the closer you are to God. So I just took off up that mountain, prayed that prayer. God, I refuse to be a mediocre coach. Help me to be a great coach, and will always give you glory. And then up on the mountain, I wrote down, what I already knew, what my philosophy was, and already had my kind of system and game plan down of what I would do when I do get the varsity job. And it was just building for years, serving and being an assistant coach, being a sophomore assistant, and being a freshman coach, and being a travel ball coach and development, and just finding out ways, going to coaching clinics on my own and just taking notes. And it came in mine is defense wins games, rebounds wins championships. And offense wins games, defense wins championships is a football. To me, it was like a football slogan. Like, you got to stop the chain from moving. That's football, So basketball, though, defense wins games, rebounds win championships. Here's how we're going to do this. And we get to play offense and have fun doing that, but the philosophy of defense wins games, rebounds win championships was at the very first meeting. We're going to defend. We're going to defend well. We're going to be full denial on the line, up the line, no middle. We're going to guard the wing by high side shoulder, my chest to the high shoulder. We're going to move perpendicular to the baseline. We're going to trust our feet, and we're going to trust our help, and we're going to, midline's going to be where our help is, and we're going to do we're going to communicate, and we're going to do shell drill, 2 players, 1 player, 5 players, 4 players, and we're going to move with the ball, and we're going to teach this. We're going to defend. We're going to do some zones in certain situations, but we're going to rebound. We're going to crash the boards better than anybody in the world. And how do we do that? It's all heart, and we're going to be resilient. because resilience and tough times come, and resilience requires zero talent. It's all heart. It's all mental toughness. It's all what you got inside, where we're going to build that tank big, and then we're going to fill it. And then you're going to use everything you got in there to go get boards. And so that's the mindset we brought in right away. And this is the standard. If anyone drops below the standard, you will not play. You will not make the team. You might even be removed from the team. If any coaches drop below the standard, we will resign. And that's where it's going to be. But that's where our program has to be. If we want to go there, we got to do it now. We got to start now. And I think that's how we pushed to keep that standard high and keep it high always, and to say we're always going to be one of the final 8. I mean, we're going to push to be one of the final 8 every year. We've missed it for 30 years. Now we've been back 5 years in a row, and in our classification, Class B, we've been the only team in the last 5 years since we've gotten on to be there every year, and others have had great success, but they weren't there when we got there, they might be there after, I don't know, but we hope to be there every year that we're here as coaches, and we don't know how long that is. And it could be gone. It could be over this year. It could, but we want to keep the tradition alive here at Lodge Grass. We want to make sure that if any new team comes on, any new coaches, they say, now this is the standard. We cannot drop that, And then if I ever moved on, I would always be here to help. I would always love to come home and say, that's home. I'm going to help. And I want that standard don't drop the standard, guys, please. Keep that standard high, not raise it higher. If you're going to go anywhere, go up with the standard.
Yeah.
So, but definitely high standards is it.
Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here.
You and I are aligned in so many ways, but I can't imagine our first talks with our teams being any more different. High standards, both of us, yes. But Coach, I went the offensive route 100% because that's getting to 11 years ago when I came to Faith. I came from another high school program as a varsity assistant, and that head coach and I really started dabbling with running and gunning and offensively playing with pace and space. Even before that kind of little phrase there became a thing. We were 4-out, 1-in dribble drive when Calipari at Memphis was making it big, and so like that's when I came to Faith, and they had averaged about 50 points a game the year before, but had a really good year, a great coach, and he brought me in, and that first meeting, it's setting the vision. Like we see the vision, then we got to sell the vision. We got to allow them to see it and be a part of it. And so I said, guys, we're gonna average 70 points or more a game, and they kind of leaned in a little bit. And I said, we're never gonna walk the ball up the floor, and we're gonna shoot 30 to 40 threes a game. They kind of did this, and everything that I said, we're going to press the entire time, setting that vision. Now, what happened, Coach, I've noticed over the years is you can sell the offensive side pretty easy. The defensive side is where you got to really capture their heart, and it took me years to see that or get that. But we've always been known for running and gunning here, but then building that defensive identity. We've created tougher teams from that. Less streaky teams from that, because on nights we don't shoot well, we can still defend and figure out a way. But it just made me laugh when you talked about like your first meeting with the guys and the defensive rebounds. I was like, man, I'm all on board with the standards and how you set them. Mine were just the exact opposite.
Yeah.
We're going to offensive rebound 33%. Like that was a goal, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, because here, Res Ball is known for just getting up and down the court. So a lot of freelance, a lot of creativity, a lot of 3-point shots, and a lot of pressure, and so I think that was already there. That's already kind of in there.
So how could you be a little different, right? Like
and it's like, and where has that gotten us? We've been running and gunning for years, but we haven't been to state. We haven't even been out of districts. We visited divisionals every now and then, but in our first meeting, it's like, all right, guys, what's our goal? First parent meeting. We got to get out of districts. No, they were like, we got to beat Hardin. They're a class above us, but they're on the reservation. And they've been beating us for 13 years. And I'm like, we got to beat hard. And I'm like, you got to think bigger, guys. I don't care about that game. And they're like, oh my God, it was almost like sacrilegious. It was almost like, blasphemy. Don't ever say that game doesn't matter. I'm like, guys, it doesn't matter. We're going to cheer for them. Actually, we want them to win. They're like, shut up, coach. What are you doing? It was a joke. I mean, if they're laughing and stuff, like, stop it. You're hurting our ears, No, guys, really, look at, there are people, there are relatives, there are cousins and friends and brothers over there. They're our same tribe, but they're on a different classification. Or not, that game doesn't even matter. So we've been pushing these kids to win that game. When they lose the whole season and crumble. I was like, I don't care about the game no more. From now on, and we had the same school colors. So I would say, orange and black, we got your back. And they're like, that ain't ever going to work. But it worked, and so we're going to support them. Forget that game. Wow. Okay, we got to get out of districts. Again, dream bigger than that. We got to not just get out of divisionals. We got to win divisionals. It's getting closer. What is that? We got to do this. We got to get to state. And then finally, one of the dads said, no, we got to look at, guys, that last banner, 1990, we got to win the state championship. And I was like, man, you're so close, but it's bigger than that. And they're like, what then? That's everything. I'm like, no, see, that's where you're wrong. It's not everything. We're going to build the next life champions here. You got to be on board with it. You got to trust us and hand your kids over to us and say, coach, we trust you. And we believe you're going to help us in our endeavor to build our life champions. Because my vision and my mission as a coach is to partner with parents and community, raise up young warriors to look like him and give glory to his name, and then teach the game at the highest level possible. And that's what we're going to do. And that's going to be our whole new standard. And that's what we're going to do. We've been running and gunning for years, but it hasn't gone anywhere. My philosophy: defense wins games, rebounds win championships. Those take heart. Those take effort. You're going to have a lot of off games. You're going to have a lot of down days. You're going to be missing shots. But here, if we show up every day, we'll do something great. And a byproduct will be possibly some championships. A byproduct will be a lot of wins. A byproduct will be, and so that was the first message. But guys, listen, we will run and gun. Matter of fact, there's teams out there starting to run and gun a little bit more. This new age of basketball, the perimeter game, Steph Curry and all them. I was like, but they don't know. Lodge Grass Indians have been doing it since Elvis Oboe and them. Elvis Oboe is Montana's all-time greatest player, and he's from here. And they were running and gunning then with Coach Gordon Robert, who's a mentor and friend of mine. And he won 5 state championships, running and gunning, running teams into the ground. When they try to run and gun, guys, we're going to run it better than them. And watch, we'll do the countdown every game. You look at these teams that are not Lodge Grass and they try to run and gun, watch their timeout. Matter of fact, crowd, you can do the countdown with us. There's 4 timeouts left. There's 3. There are 2. They're down to 1. We'll try not to use any of ours. For the first year, we did not use 1 timeout. So we're run and gun, but I told them to make it in the postseason, you have to have half court. So we're going to have a system, and we're going to build. Our defensive block is going to be like 40 minutes first, rebounding 40 minutes. Then with a little bit of offense at the end, we'll do some stuff to get us moving, get us playing and clicking together, and get a solid motion going, throw in a couple of sets, and just master those and all the options that come from those. And then we'll just go from there. Then as the season progresses, our offensive block will increase toward the back end before postseason. Now we'll spend our whole practice just running, our sets and different schemes and different actions, pin downs, flares, pistol, hammer stuff. We'll go through all of it. That's at the back end of the season, but we're going to get them in shape, and we're going to get them playing together, playing with heart, and we'll run, and we're run and gun better than anybody else, and we'll go till they crack, and then we'll run our system, and that's how so it's still in there, but I try to make sure they know what to expect early, that this main teaching you're going to get is this, but we'll run and gun, we'll have fun, and if a team gets to about that 60 range, they're getting close to their cracking point. So that's what we tell them, guys, look at, they think they're onto us, and it's a 2-point game, but it's 62-60. They're at their breaking point, guys. Let's go, So the boys love it when they see a team that's normally like a 40, 50-point game at 60, 62. And it's like, okay, let's turn it on, because their hardest day, the team just yells, our warm up, And so they're at their hardest day right now. You're just getting started. Let's go, and it just takes off, and they'll score, 15 points in a minute, 2 minutes, and it just takes off. So. But yeah, no, I'm with you there. I just preach it hard early at the first few meetings.
Makes sense. I got one more question for you, and then we'll do a speed round where I get to know you a little bit better. Social media. And I'm so glad that you chose this question because not a lot of coaches do, but obviously, like about 15 years ago, I think there were a lot of coaches that didn't care to use social media. Programs didn't have their own platforms, but now you see it at all levels. It's a big part of, golly, just a big part of society. It can be a tool, like you've said throughout, that we can use for good to let people in to see a little bit more about our programs. Maybe control a little bit of the narrative and to allow people to see like what our culture is. And we don't want our players to hype themselves, but how can we hype them up and how can we celebrate them? So in what ways do you use social media to enhance your program?
Excuse me. Yeah, it's all about controlling narrative. I'll say those exact words. We're going to control narrative. We're going to tell our story our way, and for a long time, there's been a lot of negativity, a lot of crazy things through historical trauma that has led down to, individual trauma, and which has led to poor actions, and in some cases, homicide and triple homicide, double, drugs, meth, all these things and these headlines that come to our community. I tell our kids that's not your identity. I don't care what the media has been saying before we got here. We're going to let them know who you are and the families you come from are strong. You're warriors, So we're going to control narrative. And so we have meetings about social media. What you post matters. So you will not post when you're on this team negativity, something as simple as flipping the bird or a marijuana plant or any of those things. We will not promote anything like that, because to promote is to permit, and to permit is to participate. So we're not going to participate in those actions. We're not going to be victims. We're going to be warriors. So we're going to control narrative, and then we're going to boost community. We're going to include community. And then we're going to let it community in what you're doing. So we've had lives. We went live on some of our practices and showed them how we do our defense, how we do our offense. And people are like, what about people are going to be in on how you do things? And like, we still got to execute. They still got to execute.
They still got to guard it.
You still got to guard it. And it's like, if anything, it might even take our state basketball a little higher. We know what they're doing, and here's what we're going to do. Then it challenges us to go a little hard. So we don't obviously show everything in one practice, but we show the fundamentals of what we're teaching to the parents, to the community. And then other coaches will be like, hey, I noticed you did this. What do you do with that? Or why did you do this, Joe? And it's been fun opening up that door with other coaches and great coaches even. There's a friend of mine now. He's got 430 wins. Coach, I love this drill. What motivated that? Where did this come from? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of my heroes here. And he's asking me, he said, I love it, Coach. Honestly, we're going to use that. Is it all right? And I'm like, take it. That's why it's out there. But it was amazing. So I think that's where we put it out there to boost the community, to show that, we're not just, a permissive group here that's just like throw the ball out and get on our phones and go at scrimmage, guys. No, we're teaching here like nonstop. Everything. We're going through manners, how you shake a hand. Aim for this web here, firm handshake, look him in the eye, but don't stare. You know what I mean? Let them know that you know who you are, you know where you come from, you're proud of it, and that you're thankful to meet them. Little things like that. And then you always introduce up to the female or up to the higher rank, or, and little things like that. And this is how we do all of it. We do the teaching, we do the game, and we pray, and so it's like, we want you in on it. And then when it comes to community, I think just letting the people know, like, these are the kids of our community. They're great because their parents are great. They're great because they're working hard. They're not lazy. They're not beggars. They're not thieves. These guys are hard workers, and they earn everything they've gotten. Nothing has been given to them. Everything's been earned. And that's why we want to, boost that and just we just want to share some of the work we do and encourage some other team, some other coach, and say, hey man, if we can do it, you can do it. And if you're going to do it, don't be mediocre. Do it great. Can we help? How? And that's why we boost all that stuff, and it opens doors, it opens opportunities, and it gives people a chance. And those who are afraid to ask for help might look at it and say, hey, I needed that. My practice is, and we've had so many coaches just say, our practice is very mediocre, Coach. Could you come to the practice? Could you come help with the practice? I'm like, put me on your practice plan. What drills do you want to do? Like, because I do that. I'll bring coaches in and be like, hey, I'll give you 20 minutes or 30 minutes. You're coming across,
Wow.
wherever, and we'll pay your gas or whatever. But I just want you there. give them different voice and a different teaching and different perspective. Here's the vision of the program, though. Just fall under that vision and share it how you want, And so I think that's how we do social media the way we do, and everything positive, nothing negative whatsoever. If it's negative, go breathe, leave it in the drafts and then delete it. But don't ever post nothing negative. And I think I try to be the perfect example of that and choose words wisely, include as much people as we can. And we try to, who's your youth development coach? Who's your travel team coach? I want everyone to send me your youth pictures, your tournament pictures, and give me a list of coaches' names that have influenced your life. And they'll send them to me, and then we'll boost it. And we'll try to find all those people and tag them.
Yeah.
Here's why our program is the way it is because of these coaches. It's because of this program. It's because of this training, this training personality that has taken some of our kids, and we boost all of them and say, it's not just me, it's all of these guys. They're the reason our program is
that's good
to a place. So that's why we do the social media. I think a lot of those people that don't ever get their flowers, we try to make sure they get theirs and acknowledge them because it's due, it's due them.
What's your handle? Does your program have its own, or does everything run through yours?
I always post my stuff, just Josh Stewart, and then Lodge Grass Boys Basketball is actually under, there's one that's out there that's a goofy one, but it's out, it's LG Indians Boys Basketball.
Okay.
It's LG Indians Boys Basketball, and then just my stuff, Josh Stewart, and then Instagram has Lodge Grass Indians Boys Basketball, and then just my stuff, Josh Stewart.
Nice. No, I do love, there's some great programs in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that, especially these bigger high schools, they're bringing on people to run their accounts. And so the creativity that they have, and we've been blessed to have some managers over the years that, especially this last year, those girls that we had, they're doing it for free, just having fun. They're students here, but they, did some fun videos with the guys. And we want to make the big time where we are. And it doesn't matter what side of school that you're at or whatnot, you can make your environment, your place special. And I think social media, that's a fun way to do that.
It is for sure. And then you get these parents that they share their kids, and it's their opportunity to say, this is my son. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud. And look at what he's doing. Look at what he's a part of. And some will be like, hey, my son only plays 5 minutes a game, but man, he's so thankful. And look at what they're doing. And, they're giving Christmas kids to the kids of the community. And this is them, And so it gives the parents an opportunity to just really kind of show off their kids a little bit and make them proud. And I think that positive energy is around the community, and that's what we want.
And you said something earlier about the banners and how we're not ever going to bring that up, but other people will bring it up. I think as coaches, we can help our players with that, because self-promoting is difficult. Mm-hmm. Some people, I feel like, do it maybe the wrong way, or in a way that almost turns off people. And we want our players to have like humility. Humility is one of our kind of core principles that like we want to show up that way every single day. Well, social media sometimes promotes the opposite of that. Yeah. But as I always tell our players, like, allow me, send me your information like you do with your summer stuff, like with all that, those guys, send me, allow us to promote you, allow us to celebrate you. You can share and retweet, but like, I think that's a way for us to navigate that world in a way that doesn't damage our mission, which is to show off humility with everything we do.
Yeah. Yep. It's big for us. And I think it's just kind of like there's those moments where it's like you realize, like Paul, like, okay, you want to talk about pedigree? You know what I mean? Here's who I am, here's where I come from. But when it comes down to it, all of that is really nothing. But if it gets me in the door a little bit, well, let's talk about it, because I got that too. But it wasn't just handed to me, man. This is hard. Like, there's a sacrifice to this thing. And it doesn't just happen. It's intentional. But if that's what you're shooting after, you may or may not get one. But if you're shooting after something bigger, you could always hit on that. And so we try to present it to them that way. But we definitely want to promote our players, and we want to speak of their hard work. We want to speak of their buy-in, their brotherhood. And we want to let people know, like, look at what coachability has done for these boys. Look at what buy-in has done. Look at what prayer has done for these boys, you know, and it's resulted in 2 banners. In 130 games, we're at 80%, you know, and it's incredible. We've gotten our 100th win this year at the district championship off of a buzzer beater to win, you know, a buzzer beater to go into overtime with 1.7 seconds left, full length of the court, you know, and then a buzzer beater to win, you know.
Where was the shot taken from?
Shot was taken. Let's see. I remember the kid was at the free throw line. We had the foul. We were down 1. He got it, and our player just fouled right away. And well, I mean, our guy was at the free throw line to go up 1. He missed, and then he missed the second one. The kid got it. Our player fouled. 1.7 seconds left, and everyone's like, He hits his first one. I looked at the official, said, "Hey, when he makes this, we're gonna call a timeout. I need to call a timeout." And he's like, "Well, if he misses, he's gonna have to get possession first before I can call it." And I was like, "He's got to make it. It's our only chance." And he laughed. He said, "Oh, okay." So the kids, I looked at the coaches like, "Please don't tell him to miss."
Yeah.
And they just like standing there watching. And I'm like, "He didn't say nothing yet." Swish. "We're going to win this, guys. Get over here." You know, and they're walking back. I'm like, "Hey, we're going to win. Say it with me. We're going to win." And they're like, "We're going to win." I say, "No, I want you to say it like you believe it. Say, we're going to win." They're like, "We're going to win." It's all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. You know, and so we're gonna create a blind spot. When the game starts and there's movement, everyone's gonna focus there. So I want you guys, 2 guys in front of their bench. JJ, I want you to go in between those 2 guys and run back. And Sam, big fella, I want you to set a screen for JJ. Lance, arrow throwers is part of our tradition. You know, they throw arrows like spears, and it's a game they do ever since they're kids. And Lance is a great arrow thrower. So I was like, "Lance, you're an arrow thrower. You're gonna make this pass. You make this pass?" He's like, "I can make this pass, coach." All right, JJ gonna run through that screen, come right back out of it. Once you go, the crowd, the official, everybody's going to focus on JJ. Set that screen. If it's like, look for JJ. I was like, "Toby, once JJ runs through you guys, I want you to run top of the perimeter. Ano, I want you to run toward the ball, bring the defense towards you a little bit. Don't worry about Ano. He's just a decoy. Toby, I want you to run out to the open space. No one's going to see you." And he was like, "But I don't want you to catch the ball on this side of the court. Lance, make sure he catches it on that side. Advance it forward. JJ, if he's open, just throw it to him." And then Lance, I said, "But if you cock back, that defense is going to move." And then the buzzer's going. Coach is like, "Hey, that's your second whistle. Get out there, you know. Let's go, guys." And then he just like, we're down 3, 1.7 seconds left. Lance goes like this. Boom, defense goes. Toby's all by himself. He throws it, and Toby says trajectory says it's going to land inside the perimeter, so I had to step back. He caught it, steps back, and just throws up one of those, you know.
Quick one, yeah.
Yeah, because those 2 guys came at him, you know, from, you know, across the court, and he threw it, swish, right at the buzzer. And then there was a battle there. We were down 2 and 4.8 seconds left, and we called a timeout. I said at 5 seconds, I would call timeout because if nothing's moving, nothing's going, I got to draw some up here. Fisher calls it, 4.8. Then we just drove just the usual, what most coaches do, the elevator, you know, the decoy. Toby hit this big shot. "Chiefy, I want you to go set the screen for him. You run to the corner, Toby. You just hit these big shots. They got to cover you." He's a sophomore, all-state player, one of our best players, one of the best in the state. And he just ran to the corner, and he's like yelling, "Ball, ball, ball." Defense moves. There's the elevator, but the kid just drops, you know, and Chiefy comes around the top screen and catches the pass. Shot fake. Shot, buzzer. And they win the district championship in that fashion. One of the greatest games ever. It was just, and that was our 100th win. So, and it went down that way, and it was unreal. And so after the season, you know, we went divisional championship. We took second against a very tough Red Lodge team, big team. And truly a David and Goliath thing, but the boys knew they're, you know, we're not the underdogs here, man. Their hearts,
That's right.
You know.
There it is.
They went to state and took third and finished 103 and 27, I think, in 5 years. So that's all God. And 12 first place trophies.
And the credit to the boys.
To God be the glory, to the boys be the credit. Yes.
Love that.
Yep.
Coaches, we are all searching for ways to better evaluate players in order to give meaningful feedback. Over 15 years ago, I put together a test called the Jamodi Skill Rating. The JSR takes players through a series of tests involving basketball skill or athleticism, giving them one rating at the end. Their JSR rating will give you clarity on what needs to be discussed with players and parents on areas they need to focus on improving. I test our players at least 4 times each year. They're able to compete against each other, past players' scores, and most importantly, their past performances. If you'd like to start testing your athletes, email me at jamodipodcast@gmail.com for more information. Coach, the speed round. These are quick questions. First thing that pops in your head, blurt it out. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Rocky Road.
Favorite or greatest shooter of all time?
Steph Curry.
Nice. Best basketball movie of all time?
Best basketball movie of all time? Geez. There's some good ones. I think for me, probably White Man Can't Jump.
Oh, good one, Coach. Not many people bring that one up there. That's good.
I love the conflict. I love the stupid decision making. I'd be like, I've been there, man. But basketball is just like, it's just a part of life that you can, it's fun. You can run to friends that don't look like you, sound like you, but it can. There's some even ground there if you work hard.
That's right. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Now, I'm in Texas where we don't have a shot clock. Do you have a shot clock?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for high school, shot clock or no shot clock, I'm assuming you like it.
Shot clock, but it didn't matter for us. I mean, we pressed and we pushed, and we saw the shot clock buzzer twice, but we forced it a lot.
What's the time there?
35.
Ooh, would you like it to be lower? Or are you good with 35? Yeah.
Yeah. 20, 30 would be nice. I like 35 is good though. I mean, there's been situations where we've tried to make sure we had good clock management, and the shot clock really helped, and 2-for-1s and whatnot. It's fun to strategize with that. 35 is good for that.
Here, if you get up 5 and with 2 minutes left, like it's really easy with a good delay game just to suck the life out of the game at that point.
Right.
What's it like with a shot clock when if you're the team down 5 with 2 minutes? I would imagine you don't have to panic as much as buckle down, get a stop, execute. We're in this thing.
Yeah, no, it helps to have that. Like in that same district championship, I think it was 3:50. We were down 12, and I looked up like, okay, thank God we saved our timeouts, because now we're gonna start using them. Come down, official. Hey, if he hits this 3, because we set up for a 3, we're gonna call timeout. And then it just kind of went from there. It's all right, guys, no fouls, get a steal, force the shot clock, and then go get a bucket. We'll use another timeout, and then we're gonna go off our press, and we're gonna our zone press and go full court man, force left. And then we did that, and it just worked out perfect. And then we, at the end, I said, after this one, we're gonna come down in 1-3-1, see what they go off of, and then just let's blitz it quick. It's gonna be a weird angle, but that guy's always dribbling off to the right side. I want you guys to run off quick, and then just everyone midline, just be ready. And then it worked out, and then that shot clock sure helped though. It was, and that's when we brought it within that 3. And then, but yeah, we've tried to prepare for all those situations, and we factor in the shot clock, and it's great. It's beautiful because we didn't always have it. We had it the last 3 years, I think.
Nice.
The first 2 years we didn't.
Hoping it makes its way down here. Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Up 3 on defense with 5 seconds left. Do you foul or no foul?
Up 3, don't foul. Play tough defense.
If they hit it, tip our hat, go to overtime.
Go to overtime, but never give them any opportunity. Don't stop that clock, and don't let them get any bucket unless it's the one that they earn.
I thought I had heard Coach K years ago say that, like, he never wanted to intentionally give a team an opportunity to score. But out of all the hoop talks I've been able to have here, it's pretty split right down the middle. Okay. Some people swear by we're going to foul. I think too, sometimes it matters if you've had bad experiences with it or not. Like, man, they hit a 3, they tied it, we lost in overtime. I will foul forever. Like right, that kind of experience.
Yeah, because we've hit some big shots when they didn't foul us. We've had this year, we have 9 one-possession games. We won 7 of them. And so we've hit some big ones there. Our boys are just ready to knock them down through a lot of training, a lot of optional 6 a.m. shooting, and small hoops and whatnot. And they just they were ready to execute. And I'm like, thank God they didn't foul us, but I know we won't ever foul, because I don't know. Like I said, I just don't want to give anyone a chance, an opportunity. If they earn it, man, good job, great shot. We're going to clap for you, but we're going to go to overtime and outplay you. You
know. Besides the Bible, what book would you give someone?
Dichotomy of Leadership. Yep, Jocko.
Okay.
That one's a great book. Or I mean, if you go an easy read, one sitting, The Alchemist. That one's a powerful, great. I mean, that treasure we're all looking for. I think I would go The Alchemist or The Warrior of the Light.
Nice. Okay, 2 more. Your favorite place to travel?
My favorite place to travel is to Seattle.
Nice.
I love Seattle. It's always been a fun place to travel to. I've been to 47 states. Alaska's been awesome. Hawaii's been awesome, but I just love Seattle. I love mountains. I love water. I love architecture, so I think that just has it all,
Nice.
And they have sports, they have fun, creative people, they have music, so it's probably Seattle.
Last one, probably the most important, Coach. In basketball, who is the GOAT as a player?
That's easy. Jordan. Michael Jordan, man.
Coach, your whole episode just hung in the balance right there.
No, Michael Jordan is so easy. LeBron is probably top 10 all time for me.
Yeah. Top 10.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm going Kobe and MJ and Magic and Kareem and Shaq.
I mean, hard not to put Shaq up there. It's just so dominant. I mean,
Larry Bird.
Larry
Bird's up there for me. Actually, I think I have LeBron. I lived in Ohio when he was coming up. He was a sophomore, and they said he was ready. I was one of the biggest fans. I'm like, I went when they played. I think it was Brookhaven because there was a kid that we got to play against regularly. I'm 19 years old. He's 18. Tough 6'7" guard, and they were all excited to play Brookhaven. They're playing LeBron James and them. I think LeBron and them were a junior by then.
Yeah.
I said, all right, I'm going to meet you guys there at the shot, and go watch the game. They're like, no, you got to come with us now. I'm like, I got to put some hours in at work. I already told my boss I'll be there, and I don't have to, but I love making this little extra money, And I've got a great relationship with my boss, and I don't want to let him down. They're like, all right, cool. I get there, and it's like there's a line around the building. Then you get closer. I'm like, okay, I'll skip. I get to the front. It's just all the metal bars that zigzagging all the way to the front, and there was no way to jump. So I just missed the game, And so, but I've always was a LeBron fan. Then when he left the way he did to go join those guys, I'm like, you don't do that. And I've had players be recruited out of here, unethically. There's been coaches who are like, come play for me, come join our team. Look at these guys are your friends. And so I was telling players, hey, don't be LeBron, be Kobe.
Yeah.
Don't be LeBron, be Kobe. Be tougher. Let them come join you. But don't ever go join nobody, But I get, if it's a family circumstance, if it's an academic decision, I support you. I got your back. But if they're trying to bring you on just to go join a team, you go, no. But if you're going academically and you say, Coach, it's a better challenge for me. It'll prep me for college a little bit better, then I support you. But be Kobe, don't be LeBron. But there's MJ, and then there's a talk of all these other guys. You know what I mean? He's by himself up there.
Coach,
it's crazy that conversation has gotten so loose and so goofy, that people are forgetting that he's by himself up there. And then there's all these who's second best.
Coach, there's been a lot of great nuggets in this, but I think that's the wisest thing you said the whole time right there. No, hey man, this was so enjoyable. I scribbled down so many notes, and I can't wait to go back through it because I know I didn't get everything down. But I just want to first thank you for being just such a light in the basketball world, and for what you're doing for those guys, how you represent Christ every day, and how you help coaches too. Because I mean, there's a lot of, I think, transformational moments in this for me, and so I just want to say thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for having me on, and thank you for all that you do. Just kind of looking at that, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. All the stuff you guys do. And just to be a part of it in a small way, it means the world to me. So thank you for having me on.
If coaches do want to learn a little bit more, it could be about culture, could be about defensive style, whatever. What are some great ways for them to get in contact with you?
Just my phone number. They can call 406-697-6728, well, you could give that to them. Or my email. I mean, that one's, I check it a little less. I try to be on it. But my phone, I think texting me, emailing works. And then social media, just my Facebook, Messenger and Instagram, they seem to be easier to kind of run to for, they're sorted out by, if you're friend requested and you kind of get to see who that is. Well, it's a coach. I'm going to add this person. I'm going to see what they're, and then, I'm going to add them. And then I think that'd be the easiest way. That way we can both kind of get to know each other a little bit by what's out there on social media. Obviously that's the exterior, a lot of times the facade, but you get an idea, and I think that would be the easiest, but I don't mind giving my number out.
That's pretty cool. Coach, thank you, man. This was great.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I enjoyed myself very much.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.